You might think about the FIRE movement as something like a diet club for your finances. Essentially, it's like one of the most aggressive diets you can put your wallet on. Today, we're going to talk about financial independence, early retirement, and how you might start to move towards some of those goals without turning your life upside down. Before we get started, I want to remind you, I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't personalized advice, but I think there's some really common misconceptions about retirement and particularly early retirement that we need to talk about. So early retirement, right? Who wouldn't want to retire early? In fact, some people who do the FIRE movement, they retire at 40. I'm 40. I've got 2 young kids. There is no way that I'm retiring anytime soon. I'm doing all I can to save up for the retirement at the, regular retirement age. And there are a lot of people who are behind on retirement, largely because it feels really daunting to try to put away the amount of money that you would have to put away to be on target for retirement. So when you're talking about FIRE, how do you get to retiring at 40? Well, you put more money away, you spend less. Those are gigantic sacrifices. I mean, some of these people put away a majority of their income. And that means you're basically, using your current lifestyle sacrifices to fund the kind of lifestyle you want to have in retirement. Now, that's true of almost all retirement planning, but you really don't want to use the sort of highest threshold for planning to make you to help you think about whether you want to plan for retirement at all. So if you're behind already and you're thinking about FIRE, you don't have to do everything to do something. A small sacrifice, better budgeting, better saving can help you get on your way to doing the kinds of things you want to do. It opens up options for saving more later if you have more freedom to do it then. So let's go to the FIRE movement for some lessons that can apply to people's lives, even if they don't want to make that kind of lifestyle change. First is the rule of 25. So the rule of 25 says you need to save 25 times your annual expenses to retire. To get this number, gather up your monthly expenses. If you're budgeting, good for you. Keep doing that. It'll be pretty easy to find those numbers. If you're not, it's going to take a little more work, but take a look at your bills, estimate how much you're going to spend on groceries, look at your rent, things like that. Multiply that all by 12, you get your annual expenses, and then multiply that by 25. It's not complicated math, but gathering the expenses can be a task. Anyway, that's how much you're going to need to retire under this model. So for example, if your monthly expenses are $6,000, you multiply that by 12 to get an annual expense of $72,000, multiply that by 25, and you have your FIRE number of $1.8 million. Now, if that seems too lofty or too ambitious, some people can explore ways to increase their income and then invest that extra money. So, you could make more money and then put more money away, or you could think about what your retirement's going to look like. Maybe you don't need as much saved if you can work a little bit in retirement. You only want to scale back. Again, these are the kinds of things you can do to sort of tweak your ability to retire the way you want to. The second rule is the 4% rule. 4% rule says that retirees can withdraw 4% of their savings in the first year, then adjust for inflation in future years if necessary. So that presumes that if they do that correctly and the economy performs as it has previously, they won't run out of money. Now, it may not work for you. Again, this is a very general rule of thumb. And one thing to really think about is the 4% rule assumes a 30-year retirement goal. So if you plan to retire earlier than 30 years before you don't think you'll need money anymore, that might not work for you. So, say you have a really ambitious retirement goal, 40, and you want to retire then and you plan to live past 70, God willing, you may want to think about other ways to calculate how much you'll actually need to draw. Looking at these numbers, you get a sense of how daunting this can be. $1.8 million, and that's just an example, right, is a huge amount of money to have to put away, especially if you're not on target to do that already. One expert suggested that if you wanted to retire in 10 years, you might have to put away something like 70% of your income. So think about the sacrifices that would take. And if those aren't sacrifices that you could make, that doesn't mean you can't do something to accelerate your retirement savings. So there are 2 lessons that I personally took away from my education about the FIRE movement that I think might help you as well. The first is retirement saving is cool. You don't think it's cool? I think it's cool, but I'll tell you who's going to think it's really cool is your future self. You are going to be very happy that your current self put some money aside for your future self to live off of. So how do you actually do that? Now, the basic things you've probably heard about a million times. Your 401k is a very common retirement savings vehicle. What do you do with a 401k? Essentially, it is an employer-sponsored account, which means that your employer sets it up for you. Many employers will match a part of what you contribute, so that's essentially additional compensation for you just as an incentive to put money away for retirement. And another thing you can do is set up an individual account. If you're getting all the benefit you can from your 401k, or you want more investment options, there's an IRA and individual account. And with both 401ks and IRAs, there's the option of setting them up as accounts in which you don't pay taxes now and you pay taxes when you withdraw later on. And there's also the option of setting up a Roth type account, and a Roth account is one where you do pay taxes now and then it's tax-free when you are retired and you want to withdraw later on. So, they both have their benefits, but if you're looking at maximum cash flow later, paying taxes in advance can help. You may pay more now depending on your financial situation, but they have their trade-offs. So say that you want to save more than you can save. There are legal limits to retirement savings, even outside of your employer plan. So once you get to the point of wanting to save a massive chunk of your income, you may max out, right? You may not be able to put any more in a tax-advantaged retirement account. Or say you don't want to wait to retire at the normal retirement age. So you might need it sooner. What can you do? You can make a traditional brokerage account. You go to a company, an investment platform that, can help you put money into the kinds of investments you might select from a retirement plan, even if it's not in a retirement plan. These are kind of mutual funds, broad-based things that, have a target date and are kind of made to grow toward a, retirement age. So you can invest from an IRA how you want to, but a lot of times you have similar options to what might be in your 401k. Now, if you're looking for options for how to set these kinds of accounts up, NerdWallet has a ton of reviews of brokers, of retirement account providers that you might want to take a look at. Lesson number 2, budgeting is cool. Budgeting is cool because it gives you control and vision into what trade-offs you're making whenever you spend money, whenever you earn money, and whenever you save money. And once you have that kind of mastery of where money's coming from and where it goes, you start to have a better view of what you would have to give up to meet some kind of goal, right? Like 70% of your income going toward retirement is a massive goal. You're going to have to make really big sacrifices to do that, right? Going out to eat, maybe even living in a smaller house, not going on vacation, new clothes, maybe wait another year to wear them out. So, again, these are just basic thoughts about what you might have to give up. Obviously, 70% is going to be different for every person, depending on what your income is. But I will say this. When I started to do my own budgeting, I definitely found it easier to figure out where I was going to get the money to put toward the retirement saving that I wanted to do for myself. So it can help. And, there's lots of software and digital tools you can do to use this. NerdWallet has a bunch of reviews and things you can look at if you want to try to choose one. But even if you're just doing this on the back of an envelope, it really helps. And anything you can do to start to give yourself that vision, it's going to really give you the chance to, feel more in control, regardless of what your goals are. So in the end, financial decisions, especially about retirement, generally come down to a delicate negotiation between your current self and your future self. If your current self isn't willing to make the kinds of draconian sacrifices it's going to take to give your future self the kind of retirement at a younger age that you thought you wanted, you may not be a candidate for the FIRE movement. But that doesn't mean that you need to shut your future self out of the conversation either. Remember that whatever you do, even if it's not exactly what you hoped or whatever someone else told you you needed to do, whatever you do to save for the future is going to be something that your future self appreciates. I'm Andy Rosen, an investing writer for NerdWallet. I will not be retiring at 40, which means you'll probably see me in another video soon. If you learned something in this video, please like and subscribe.